Welcome to the Write Academy. I'm Matthew R. Miller. Today I'd like to talk about creating atmosphere in your writing. Now, atmosphere, people think of the words tone and mood. Those are actually a little bit different. Tone is the feeling that the writer puts or the narrator puts into the story, whereas the mood is the emotions the reader takes from the story. Very slight difference there. But when you're talking about atmosphere, okay, atmosphere, the importance of it, and I know that I sound like a broken record, but what you want to do in your writing is create an emotional response in the reader so that the reader will be drawn into your world, immersed into your world, and emotionally connected. That is what makes people like stories, and it's what makes them continue reading your book, if you hope to sell any of your work. So let's talk about how to create mood in a story. Again, how to create emotions in the reader. First of all, it's important to use the right setting, okay? Think about the classic haunted house story. A big old mansion, it's nighttime, the lightning's storm outside, and there's thunder, there's rain. The occasional streak of lightning will light up the room. Inside, maybe the rooms are lit only by candles. There's a big parlor or a big den where there's a roaring fire, and several people are gathered there this evening. And they're all very different and kind of each very unique and a little mysterious people. And they begin to talk about something, tell a ghost story, right? As they're eating dinner, sipping wine. That's the right setting for a haunted house story, a haunted story, a ghost story. Not the only possible setting, but I just want to show you that having that setting will already, in the reader's mind, create a feeling, okay? Now, let's say you wanted to write science fiction. Well, you could write science fiction in the haunted old mansion somehow, right? You could put technology in there, but it might be easier to create a kind of futuristic or desolate feeling in the reader, whatever you want to create through your science fiction, by setting it in outer space or in a spaceship or in a futuristic world. You get the idea, right? So choose a setting that already has built-in emotions. That's going to help you to go a long way. It's a lot harder to create those emotions in a setting that creates the opposite emotions. If you're trying to write, a ghost story and it's in a stand-up comedy routine, you can do it, but it's going to be a lot harder. Okay. Next is your choice of words. Now, this is very tricky because isn't writing really just choice of words, right? But I want to show you that what you want to avoid is cliches, okay? Now, let's take a word that I use a lot in my stories, dark, D-A-R-K, dark. I write horror, right? You could say that the room is dark. That's fine. It's a great word. But there's other ways to say that things are dark. And just jotted down a few that come to mind. Murky, shadowy, faint, gloomy, dull, black, overcast, somber, shadowy, drab, dingy. Okay, so you can use different words that mean the same thing, and the less common the word, the more impact it will have on the reader. It's like the word good. Saying something is good, we use the word good so much that it's almost lost its meaning. So, hey, how is it? It's good. Well, tell me more, right? So the trick is to avoid cliches, but to write in your own style. Also, though, not to go so overboard that you sound like you are just writing a thesaurus, okay? And here's a good way to do it. The English language originally is a Germanic language, and we have, German grammar vocabulary, Germanic. Later, after the Battle of Hastings, when the French were kind of controlling England and everyone had to speak French, we got these words that come from French and Latin. And sometimes there's two ways to say something. Think about this. Bellicose versus warlike. Which is a stronger sounding word, bellicose or war? It's war. A lot of times these Germanic words have a stronger emotional reaction in the reader than the Latin-based words. You don't have to learn Latin and German. Basically, the longer words with many, many syllables tend to be the Latin-based words. The shorter words with vowel sounds, war, right, tend to be the Germanic ones that you want to choose. So you might want to spend a little time learning about that, okay? If you want to improve your writing skill, you're going to have to do some studying and learning. So you might learn about or try to think of some words that come from the shorter Germanic, stronger words than the later Latin words in English. So word choice is very important. Another thing you can do to create atmosphere is to have the right theme. Now, the theme is kind of like the moral lesson of the story, or the reason the writer is writing the story. So if you want the theme to be, let's say, sadness, you could have a lot of death occur in the story. That's just one example off the top of my head. If you wanted the theme to be more positive and uplifting, well, you could have more comedy or short action sequences, things like that. So you want to keep that in mind. Next, be sure to use all 5 senses. I've said this many times. Incorporate the senses in your writing. Don't just say what a character is doing, say what the character is experiencing. What are they seeing, smelling, tasting, As they're walking through this haunted house, what does it smell like? Does it smell like old, musty closets and linen or mothballs, or is there a kind of the strange, acrid smell of death somewhere? In all the senses, what does it sound like? Is there the whispering off in the shadows? You see, so by using the 5 senses, you're going to bring the reader in on a more emotional level and create a much stronger atmosphere. Next, you can plant clues. Now, when I talk a lot about movies too, because movies are based on screenplays and screenplays are writing. So think about the movie The Sixth Sense, Bruce Willis and Haley Joel Osment. Now, if you haven't seen the film, spoiler, okay, but Bruce Willis's character is actually dead the whole time. He's a ghost. The film plants some clues so that the clever viewer can maybe pick up on this. For example, when the dead people that Haley Joel Osment sees, right, I see dead people, are around, there's a lot of red. And then when Bruce Willis appears, there's also a lot of red. Next, Bruce Willis doesn't interact with anyone else in the film, just the boy, right? So there's these little clues they put in. You should do that in your writing. This is going to depend on your own genre and writing style, but plant clues here and there, repetitive clues that kind of have the reader realize that, oh, in this particular situation, this is the emotion I'm supposed to experience. It's almost like training the reader's mind, right, to know what to experience. And as always, I remind you, while you are choosing the words and the setting and the senses to set the atmosphere in your writing, remember that you want to describe things in the setting and the characters that add to the story. So you want to describe the haunted house? Great. The purpose is so that it will feel scary. But I wouldn't have some character go into the kitchen and look at a fork and go into a long, detailed description of that particular style of silverware, something that has nothing to do with the story. So description is important, and you can put a lot of it in there, but make sure it's relevant to the story and relevant to the atmosphere. So that's really the idea. Atmosphere, it's not a big secret. You just use words that make you feel a certain way and make the reader feel a certain way. Set your story in places that are fitting and suitable. Use the 5 senses. Okay? And this is going to create great atmosphere in your story. I hope that helps. If it does, please like and subscribe. Check out my Patreon link in this YouTube channel's main page description. The link says links. And there's another link to my books if you want to check those out. I have 9 horror novels that are already published and many more in the editing pipeline. Thanks for watching. I am Matthew Miller. You are with the Write Right Academy.